Good morning, Ziza Nation. Dr. Johnson here. Hope you guys all survived Summit and had a great time. Sorry I missed some of you, but that's okay. We'll catch you on the next one, right? But anyways, today I want to talk about a few things that are extremely important in the world of wellness and optimizing health. Now, as you know, many a times we talk about these terms, wellness, we talk about keeping the body balanced. And in the past, we've tried to keep this theme of how we really revolutionize our health and improve our health. And one of the areas that oftentimes is overlooked, although we have talked about it, but it's overlooked, is proper hydration. Now, we talked about this in the summer, but oftentimes as we head into these winter months, people forget that it's just as important to consume water daily in varying quantities throughout the day, and we'll talk about how much is proper and so on in a few seconds, in the winter months, because we think about the summer, we think about it's hot, we think we're sweating, I'm gonna drink and I'm gonna stay well hydrated. Well, you need just as much water going into the winter. And this is where it's extremely important, because proper hydration does a lot of things to the system. Number one, staying well hydrated helps maintain a proper pH within the blood, helps maintain proper chemical balances, helps maintain better blood flow to your organ systems, specifically to the digestive system, as well as to the heart, to the lungs, to the brain. And those things are somewhat vital to wellness and overall health. And so to maintain healthy blood flow, extremely important. You also want to maintain hydration so that your body can perform the proper detoxification, or removing toxins from the system via the kidneys, via the bowels, going through the liver, our sweat glands. And during the winter, we actually will sweat and perspire, even though sometimes we don't realize that because we're not drenching or super hot like we are in the summer. So in the winter, oftentimes in the cold, our lungs, if you know that it's the fog and the steam when you breathe on a mirror, that's water. You're losing water. So it's extremely important that during these winter months you still stay hydrated and maintain proper hydration. So how much should I drink? And again, we've heard about the old 8 glasses of 8 ounces a day. That's been debunked. There's no great science behind that. Probably a rule of thumb, though, that you want to follow is maybe about a ½ an ounce per pound of body weight is a good way to do it. And probably the best way is just to kind of watch your thirst mechanism. If you're a little bit thirsty, the body is telling you, hey, you need to drink some water. Also keep track of your urine output, because if you're urinating every 2 to 3 hours, it's clear you're well hydrated. If you're urinating more than that, it's really inconvenient and probably a little bit overhydrated, although again, that's kind of difficult to do because the body has built-in mechanisms to maintain proper hydration. So if you drink excessively, you're just going to go to the bathroom all the time, which is again very disruptive to your day. But if you were to get really crazy, and it's possible, you can actually drink so much water that you dilute the chemical balance and what we call electrolytes, and that can actually be dangerous. So again, proper hydration, very important, especially in adults and in kiddos. We oftentimes forget those kids need to be offered water frequently throughout the day. And now we want to talk a little bit about what kind of water, right? Because we've talked about drinking water is extremely important. Purified water is good, and you can get that through your refrigerator. That kind of just neutralizes the taste, probably removes a little bit of chlorine, but it's not going to necessarily purify the water, right? And especially if there is a time, and we're seeing this as we're heading into hurricane season and as we head into the winter months, and we know sometimes some areas can get quite the winter storms to the point where the water systems are compromised, and then the state will issue what they call a boiling order, where you're supposed to boil your water. Why do we do that? Because when you boil water, and the way to do that is to bring it to a rolling boil for at least a minute, preferably 2, and then here's the tip: let it cool down before you drink it, right? So let that cool off, and then when you consume that, it's sterilized. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's removed toxins, but it's removed the bacteria and the potential viruses and the potential parasites that could be in the water that that compromise the watering system. And so boiling the water, when they issue those boiling the water orders because of some sort of natural disaster or a compromising to the water filtration system throughout the entire city or wherever you live, is because they're very concerned that there's different types of bacteria. And if you get exposed to certain types of bacteria through the water system, they can be very detrimental to your health and even life-threatening in our elderly and in the extremely young ones. And so, boiling orders are very important to watch and to adhere to. But again, boiling water only does so much, and especially in the world of, again, sterilizing, but it doesn't remove a lot of the contaminants, okay? So that's where, if you want an advantage over your neighbors, you invest in a Morclēr. So Zizia, thinking ahead and bringing to market and taking advantage of the power of the Moringa oleifera and taking advantage of the seeds of the Moringa oleifera, which have been used for centuries in purifying water. They brought to market what they call a Morclēr purification, water purification system, which is brilliant, okay? Because they're using 3 different types of purification and filtrations to get the water the cleanest that you can with the technology that we have nowadays. Again, very important. Why? Because anytime you purify the water and you remove a lot of chemicals and a lot of potential heavy metals that can be in our water systems, you know, in spite of our city's best efforts, oftentimes they chlorinate the water, oftentimes they add fluoride, not really good ideas, and in spite of science arguing against those things, they continue to do it. Why? We're not exactly sure, but nonetheless, you want to remove those from the water the best that you can, and the Morclēr can do that for you. You also want to be able to remove the smallest of small bacteria, viruses, and parasites, because even sometimes in our watering systems, they don't remove the smallest of the smallest ones, and some of the viruses can get through, and we can pick up viruses and or bacteria and parasites through our tap water. We've got to be very careful about this. It's also been shown in several studies that our waterways are now being contaminated and with waste products coming from pharmaceuticals, so the drug companies. So in other words, they're finding trace amounts of anti-inflammatories, anti-cholesterol drugs, synthetic hormones from medications. They're finding, you know, even some of our antipsychotic, antidepressant type medications have all been isolated in various waterways throughout the country in amounts that would be significant that could affect the balance within our system. And so we've got to be able to remove those from our waterways if we can, if we truly want to optimize our health, and if we want to be able to properly hydrate our bodies and give our bodies the best chance to be balanced and again function at its highest level. And your city filtration systems probably won't do that. In fact, I'm sure they don't. Your refrigerator won't do it as well. This is why you need something like Morclēr that will remove all those chemicals, all those heavy metals, all those potential hazardous waste materials from your water, purify it, and they use, again, a 6-step process, which is brilliant. It's patent pending, so this is a great idea, but really what's kind of cool is taking advantage of the seeds of the moringa, using the entire tree and fruit as they do in all their products, and using these seeds is a great idea because, again, there's a tremendous amount of science, and they have been used for years to purify water throughout other parts of the world, but now they bring this to your doorstep in this, what we call Morclēr, in this water purification system. They also use a term called reverse osmosis, and then they use a carbon compound that removes even more impurities from the water, so that what ends up in your water tank is extremely purified and it has a proper pH balance. Very important, because our body is always trying to maintain a proper pH. As you guys know, that's kind of the term we use to mean, are you either acidic or are you more alkaline? Oftentimes we hear we want to be more alkaline, but understand that your body has built-in mechanisms that you cannot control that will not let you swing your pH too far into the alkaline world nor too far into the acidic world. So if you can, it's best to drink water that is pretty much neutralized at the proper pH of around 7.4, because that's what our blood tries to maintain. Then the body doesn't have to work so hard to get that liquid substance that we consumed into a good pH. So the Morclēr will do that for you. Again, brilliant. And when you're at a better pH, you're going to absorb that water better, and then your cells are going to function better. Your electrolytes, right, are going to be better balanced. Anytime your cells are functioning better, they're going to communicate better. When your cells communicate better, your cells are what makes up your tissues make up your organs make up us. And so therefore, if you start at a cellular level, you're truly going to enhance your health. You're going to optimize your health. You're going to optimize your digestive system function. You're going to remove impurities, which we see nowadays as being a real problem in the world of mainstream medicine, because a lot of issues with dementia, Parkinson's, neurological types diseases, like Alzheimer's, are being directly contributed to being due to contaminants in our environment. And so if we can minimize our exposure, we're way ahead of the ball game. We're going to maintain our health much better. So ZJ Nation, important that you drink purified water, and you have a company that has brought this to market with a very innovative water purification system like Morclēr. And then if you're an athlete and you're sweating a lot, and especially the kiddos coming back from dance or soccer or football, add a little bit of the Ripstick Hydrate to the water, and you're going to replace the electrolytes, and then it tastes really good. The kids will love it. I know my kids do, and they consume this all the time after their athletics, and it's a great way to replenish their electrolytes. So stay hydrated, ZJ Nation. Until next time, this is Dr. Johnson.